Hello and welcome to episode 198. For those of you who were concerned last week that I'd got a bit fancy, normal service has been resumed. The sweater I'm wearing, which is actually like a tunic, I did not knit. I've had it for, I think 20 years at least. I can't remember where I got it. But it's really pretty colours, and I got it out today because it's a bit Christmassy, but it's, as I'm recording, only the 2nd of December, so it's a bit too early for full-on Christmas, I thought. Okay. I have finished something. I finished this pair of vanilla socks in Rico Socks Super Soft Super Dégradé, in the colourway, I think, 005. And I was quite right, I did not get as far as the blue, but I didn't run out, so that's the main thing. And I have some leftovers to go into my scrappy scrappy. Oh. It started. My scrappy sock blanket. So I'm really pleased with those. They've blocked very, very nicely. They're my own vanilla recipe, which I can't link because it's only in my head, unfortunately. Let's not go anywhere near there. I must write it down because we know what happens to things that are in my head. I knit these on 9-inch circular, apart from the heel flap and gusset, which I did on DPNs, and I just flew through them. So I forgot to time myself. I said I was going to time myself and I forgot. I was going to do it with the second sock. I started it. I opened the timer and started knitting, but forgot to start the timer. And then I started the timer, but of course it was already wrong. And then the next time I picked them up, I'd forgotten all about the timer, so that was that. That was the end of that little exercise. Okay, I have cast on another couple of pairs of gift knits, but I've not brought them to show you because today is my first Advent podcast. This is confusing. So I'm not vlogging this year. I'm not doing Vlogmas. But my podcast is going to be kind of a mixture of Vlogmas and ordinary podcast. So I shall now move on to the Vlogmas section of the podcast. I'm just wondering where to start. Let's start with socks. So last year I bought an Advent self-striping Advent sock skein from Spin and Blether, and I enjoyed it so much that this year I have done the same. This year it's called Deck the Halls with Bars So Jolly, and you can get a contrasting mini. I opted not to. So you get two 50-gram skeins and 75-25, the usual sort of nylon. No, the usual sort of fingering weight. It's the sock yarn I normally use. I don't know where I was going with that. There's 400 meters, 100 grams in the two, obviously. So I caked them up. Holy mackerel. I've been sleeping very badly and I've had a very stressful week that I'm not going to bore you with, but yeah. I caked them up and I put them into what are these things called? I put them into these things, completely gone. Yarn cozies, into black ones, so I can't see what's inside. I'm pulling from the centre, so I will still get surprises, and they're in this bag. This bag is from Tea Cake and Make, and I got it last year. As part of a Christmas Eve sock set from Blue Fern Yarns. There was the bag, this little notions pouch, very cute, very clever little notions pouch. Ooh. And obviously the yarn for the socks and a pattern. Well, they're colourwork socks, and I did not feel ready. I had not mentally prepared myself, even though I knew when I ordered it what they were going to be. Come Christmas Eve, I was just, no, I can't. So, the yarn and the pattern are still in the Christmas Eve stock box up there, and I may well cast them on this year. Who knows? So what I'm doing with the self-striping advent is, remember, for me this is only day 2. For you this is day 3 or more, because this will go up on day 3. So yesterday I worked on them for an hour and I just cast on, and that's how far I got. And they're on magic loop 2 at a time. This could be a mistake. This may lead to unpicking because I've carried the yarn across to the other sock. But so far, not very far at all. So far it's worked okay. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Last year I knit 2 sock tubes, and then I split them into 2 pairs of reasonably long leg socks and a pair of trainer socks. I wanted to do something different this year, so I am knitting a pair of socks rather than a tube, and I'm going to knit, it's a pattern by Nancy Wheeler, I believe, and it's actually a really good pattern. Not you. Bear with me while I wrestle with technology. Ty's making his presence felt. Oh gosh, hang on a second. I've got to, there we go. So it's called The Collection of Columns by Nancy Wheeler. And basically it's a single sock pattern that you can choose one of 6 embellishments for. I think I know which one I'm going to do, but I will confirm it with you next week. So all the patterns that I talk about will be in the description box, show notes below. What I may do though is put them all in a bundle. So you'll go to this description box and just click on one link and it will take you to Ravelry, where all the patterns that I'm using for Advent knitting are listed together. Okay, so that's the socks. What next? Actually, let's talk about the Advent that I haven't started yet. Oh no, actually no, let's go back to the sock one. I forgot. I didn't open the extras. I saved them to open with you. Ooh. So this is from the Spin and Leather Sock Advent. So there's her card. There's a couple of tea bags which I will pass on to Dave because I can't drink tea. I have become, oh, and that one's a cinnamon one as well. I love cinnamon. I've become, I don't know if it's allergic to tea. I've dropped one of the things. Hang on. I've got to rescue it. I'm sorry about the dog next door. It's the first day it's not been raining for ages and he wants someone to come out in the garden and play with him. And no one else is up to it. Right. Up for it even. Okay. I've rescued it. There are also two really pretty, oh wow, these remind me so much, and I'm sure it's intentional, of the Christmas tree decorations we had when I was a little girl. Absolutely love those. I hope you could see them because I couldn't see what I was doing. Yeah, so they're from Spin and Blether. I will definitely use those. Let me put them there. Okay, right. Moving on to the Advent that I've not cast anything on with. This is the one that I accidentally bought. It's from Creative Anarchy, and it is the Grim Tidings Advent. So it's all based on grim fairy tales. I chose the sock weight base again, the 75-25, and I've opened day one. This is day one. Just gorgeous, but really in my family of loved colours. And this first 6 are from the fairy tale Ashen Puffle. I'm not familiar, but it looks a bit like possibly a fairy queen. And this is called Prithee, Look Back. I wonder. The next one, that was day one. This is day 2. I'm not casting this one on as yet. I want to see what the colours are before I make a choice. So this is day 2. They're in these lovely little boxes. And this is, sorry if you heard my tummy rumbling then. This is day 2. Stay. Really love those. So I'm going to put these back in their boxes so that as time goes on I don't get confused. And day 2 is called Stupid Goose. That's this isn't working very well. There you go, Stupid Goose. And on the back of each box is a little rhyme that says, once upon a time a crafter brought a yarn advent. Each skein dyed with magical dust. On the final day they made a magical project, bringing joy and peace to the season. Isn't that lovely? So, there were also extras with this advent. There is this, which I've already espied is a candle. This is, oh, this is going to make my tummy rumble even more. It's called Praline Chocolate Vanilla, and it smells exactly like a box of chocolates with praline centres. Oh, that is making my tummy rumble. And also, there were some stitch markers by Pearl by Pearl. And they are aquamarine and strawberry quartz. If I hold them like that, I think might be best. So pretty and not overly Christmassy, so I can use them all year round. They're really lovely. So, this one I am not yet casting on, as I said. What I will do is each podcast I'll show you the week before's yarns. So I did cast some things on. I got myself into a right tizzy. I had to speak to my friend Denise to be like, calm down, because there was just too much. There was too much to knit and not enough time, and as I said, external to knitting stress. So this advent is one that I put together. I don't know what that was that fell on the floor. Put together this year in January, from my minis. Minis and scraps and, you know, yarn I already had. And it's called the Confectionary Cardigan by Margaret for Heidi and Lana. And this is it. And today's going to be a day where everything falls on the floor. I can't reach that either because it's gone under the chair. So this is very similar to one that I knit a couple of years ago, in that it's knit from the side to the centre, and then you join it together and add the sleeves and the ribbing on the bottom. So I opted to make the largest size because when I made one similar to this last time, I think my gauge was out and it was a little snug, and I ended up giving it away, which was a shame because it was made with an advent from my friend Amanda at Little Lycac. So this, I think, was from last year's advent, from the one that I insisted on calling Moonflower Yarn Co. all last advent, and now that's stuck in my head. Moonlight Fibre. I've got to write that sock recipe down, haven't I? So there's this much left, because obviously I've got to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to pop that back into its advent pouch. It's one that's hanging on the back of the door there. So I'm not planning on working on that every day. I may, if I have time, but I'm not planning on keeping up with it, because that was what was giving me all the stress. I cannot possibly keep up with all these projects every day and gift knit. It is not humanly possible. So let us move on to one of my own advents, and this one I dyed up myself, and this is the Mousewitch Yarn Merry and Bright advent. And I'm just wondering where best to show it to you because it's not on a terribly long cord. This I've cast on twice because I got into a terrible mess the first time, and so it's covered in my hair. Oh, they're all knit in. Oh, marvellous. Like an extra layer of warmth. Yes, this is day one of the Merry and Bright advent, and I'm knitting the Pressed Flowers sweater. There's that much left, but I will not need that again, I don't think. I am going to put it back in its box though, just in case. So this is the Pressed Flowers sweater by Savoury Knits. There's a whole host of these patterns, pretty much everything you could possibly want to knit. Why are you doing that? Hat, shawl, cowls. I think there's mittens, sweater, cardigan, vest top, the lot. And I've chosen to do the sweater, or pullover as they call it, which is held double. It's the DK pattern, so I'm holding it double. So that's day 1. Let's look at day 2. Now stuff's falling off the Christmas tree. It's going to be one of those days. So day 2 follows on from day 1. It's day 1, day 2. If you have one of my Mousewitch Advents this year, there were 2 options, Merry and Bright and Moody and Dark. And there was a 24-day mini skein Advent and also a 1 skein every week during Advent. They may not look exactly the same as those that you see my podcasting friends holding up, because this year everybody's Advent was dyed in its entirety for them. So there are variations between them, and that allowed me to manipulate the colours slightly for people who I knew had particular colour preferences. So bear that in mind. If you are watching podcasts with the same Advent that you've got and it looks slightly different on slightly different days, that's why. Traditionally, when you dye an Advent, you dye all of day 1, all of day 2. Well, I dyed days 1 to 24, all in one go for each specific person, and the same with the 4 weekly Advents as well. I'm not going to show you my full skein ones, because mine were the prototype and they're not the same as the Advents that I eventually dyed up for people. So it will only confuse matters even further if I show you mine. Also, one of mine came from the supplier. Rather than a 100-gram skein, it was 78. So that made me a little bit cross, but it's just for me, so it's fine. Right. Segued into that. I'm using black Yarnsmith's merino sock held double for the main colour, and then this one will go in for the next flower, and so on as the Advent progresses. I'm hoping to keep up with that one, but it's dependent. Obviously, gift knitting's got to take priority until I've managed to finish that. For the Moody and Dark Advent, which is the other option, I chose this pattern. I'll show you the pattern first, actually. It's an update, really, on a pattern that I've been looking at for ages, because I saw Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit had knit the original version, and when I saw that there was now an Advent version, and I think the only difference is it's bigger, I knew that I wanted to knit that. It's called the Curry Inn, which is the same name as the other one, but it's Curry Inn for Advent poncho. And apparently Curry Inn means snuggle up, which is perfect. I had intended to dye up a main skein for the collar, but my back had other ideas, so I didn't get a chance to dye anything up, and I fished this skein. Again, it's Yarnsmith's merino sock held double out of stash. This is deep plum or dark plum, and I thought it's quite nice with my colouring, and it works well held with the first colour, which is day 1 of the Moody and Dark. When I looked at this pattern, I misunderstood until I read it through properly. So you hold this yarn double while you knit the neck. Then you drop one of those strands and you add in one of your colour. Knit 10 grams of that and then drop this colour and pick up the next one. So although the advent is already a fade, it's going to fade even better through the poncho. So shall we look at day 2? This is day 2 of the Mousewitch Yarn's Moody and Dark advent. Oh, sneeze. Don't sneeze. So that's day 1 and day 2. Day 2 slightly lighter. This is the one that I am hoping to keep up with because it's a really relaxing knit. You don't have to think about it much. And I've just realised that I didn't show you the bag that it's in. This bag was a gift from the lovely Diane at Yew Tree Yarn Craft. And my eldest son's name is Peter. And I have a Peter Rabbit bag from Diane that's got another project in somewhere. In fact, I can see it. And when Peter was a baby, because his name was Peter, he was named after my father, he got lots of Peter Rabbit stuff, even though I wasn't particularly into the books. And so Peter Rabbit has become kind of a thing. So now I have a all year round Peter Rabbit bag and a Christmas one, because it says Hoppy Christmas on it. I don't know if you can read that. Hang on, let me show you this side. And Joy, love Peter. So, I think that's all I've got to show you today. I have done a little bit of work on my stripy Christmas jumper, but I thought I'm not going to show you. Oh look, I'm now this far up the front. Hopefully by next week I will have finished the front and started the sleeves. So that's some significant progress to show you. Right, the only thing left for me to do is, I mentioned last week that the week before Christmas week will be 2 weeks' time. That's very frightening. I wish I hadn't thought of that. In 2 weeks' time it will be my 200th episode. And so I thought we'd have a pattern giveaway. And I've been trying to think of a question that I can use as a search thing. And so the question I came up with for you to put in the comments below this video is, can you tell me your favourite song or the song you had at your wedding? Should that be appropriate? So, you know, your first dance, or the one that you walked into the registry office to, a significant song. And because I am nosy, and the way to have that count as an entry is have song in your answer. So if you don't want to enter, just don't put song in there anywhere. And then when I come to do the comment picker, I can get it to look for song. Okay. It's going to be a pattern prize, because then that doesn't matter where in the world you are. I think that really is all I've got to tell you today. What time is it? Oh, 12:05. That took longer than I thought it was going to. Never mind. I'm going to pick up all the things I've dropped on the floor. I'm going to make a cup of coffee because I'm very thirsty, and apparently need to find a biscuit because I'm quite hungry too. And I will see you next week. Until then, enjoy your Advent knitting if you're doing some, and yeah, try not to get too stressed about anything, but the time of year in particular. See you next week.